What could the cuts mean for government services? Wayne Long works with the Finance Minister as the Secretary of State for the Canada Revenue Agency and financial institutions. Hi, Minister. Pleasure to welcome you back here to studio.
Always great to see you, Vashi.
I really appreciate you making the time. I have a number of questions about the CRA, but I did want to start off on your work with the Minister of Finance. Today, the Prime Minister said your government is, quote, focused on reducing unnecessary federal spending. Can you be explicit with Canadians watching tonight about what that does and doesn't include?
I think it's incumbent on all of us. I think our government was elected on a mandate of fiscal restraint, fiscal responsibility. You know, Vash, even from my small business background, you know, I used to go line item by line item on my budget, especially on the expense side, making people rationalize the expenses, making people accountable for the expenses, seeing where you could squeeze a few dollars. Now, that was the hockey world, and obviously the political world has a few more zeros on it, but it's incumbent on us as a government that's led by Prime Minister Mark Carney to be fiscally responsible. So I'm absolutely convinced we can kind of hit that spot. We can get it right. We can be fiscally responsible. We can rein in some spending, and we also need to invest. And hopefully we'll talk about our major investments in national projects coming.
What does striking that balance actually look like, though, is my question. And I'll tell you why I'm asking, because for years when the Conservatives were in opposition and they proposed the exact thing that your government is now saying it's going to do, I would consistently be asking, well, what are you going to cut? There are some major line items. It's not like you can just find efficiencies and close a $15 billion gap like your party's election platform said it would do over a 4-year period of time. So can you be straight with Canadians about what is and what isn't on the chopping block?
I think everything is being reviewed, everything's being looked at. I think, as you would know, every minister, including myself, has been given the task of finding efficiencies in their departments. Again, it's incumbent on everybody who has a minister's position to look at their departments, see where there's duplication, see where there's, you know, inefficiencies, and come back and, you know, I'm absolutely convinced we can do this. I'm absolutely convinced that we can be fiscally responsible, we can invest in our country. Let's be very, very clear. I mean, the ground underneath us has shifted. This is not the same country it was literally 6 months ago, a year ago. So I think it's incumbent on us. We need to get our fiscal house in order. I don't think there's anybody more qualified than Prime Minister Mark Carney to get that sweet spot right. And we will review, and we'll cut where we have to, we'll invest where we'll have to. And, you know, I hear often, oh, you know, you're going to cut services, you're going to cut back the public service. We don't know that for sure. Let's not prejudge the review. Let's go through the review. Let's see what departments submit. Then, obviously, from Finance, Minister Champagne and his team, along with myself, we'll look at, you know, department by department, project by project, program by program, and say, okay, what do we need? What don't we need? We're Liberals. We believe in investing in social programs. We believe in investing in Canadians. I believe some of the transformational programs we brought forward, you know, whether it's the Canada Child benefit, dental care, daycare, you know, school food programs. We believe in investing in Canadians, but we also believe in building a strong economy. If we build a strong economy, we can do the things we want to do to invest in our country. I mean, like I've said to you before, we should always be judged in government by how we treat the most vulnerable. We have a lot of challenges from coast to coast to coast. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to turn our backs on the climate. We're not going to turn our backs on children. We're going to make sure that we invest in families. That being said, we're going to invest in national projects. We need to grow our economy. It's vital to the future of our country.
I have to respectfully challenge some of what you laid out and sort of your pushback on why assumptions are being made. When you say, for example, we're not going to turn our back on the climate. Well, in the past few days, I haven't been able to find either the Prime Minister or a single minister who will say we will continue to try and meet the 2030 targets that we laid out. When you say that you're not going to cut public services, last week the Finance Minister was asked explicitly, will this involve cuts? And he did not say no.
Right.
Right? Like those are things that happen. And against the backdrop of your party promising in the campaign, I'm going to read it for you word for word. We will bring revenues in line with total operating spending and eliminate this gap, currently estimated about $15 billion a year by budget 2028. You do not get to $15 billion a year by simply capping the public service at $70 billion a year of spending. You just can't get there. The math doesn't add up. So unless you specify what you're actually going to do other than strike a balance, are Canadians not to assume the things I just laid out?
I mean, respectfully back, I'd say don't prejudge the process. We are going through it line by line by line. We will get this right. You know, those that are like, oh, the Liberals are going to slash and burn these programs and that programs. That's not certainly the indication I'm getting. That's not how I feel. I know that's not how Minister Champagne feels. We will get it right.
But how do you get to austerity? Like the Prime Minister characterized the budget as austerity. If a Conservative said austerity, would your constituents not say, oh my gosh, which program do I rely on? Are they going to cut?
Sure.
And you're not saying I won't.
I would say fiscal responsibility. I think we were elected on fiscal responsibility. I think the Prime Minister has said time and time again, it's time to get our financial house in order. The Prime Minister has also said a lot of the growth in spending over the last 7 to 8 years was not sustainable. So I don't think there's a Prime Minister better suited for the job. I don't think there's a Prime Minister with the better qualifications. We will get this right.
Will we know, just final question on this before I move on to the CRA,
of course.
Will Canadians who are watching tonight or your constituents and others, will they know what cuts are happening in advance of the budget at all? Or are we all just waiting until October to find out where the shoe falls?
I think, you know, I mean, I wouldn't expect that we're going to be releasing parts of the budget early. I think that a lot of this will come in the budget. But, you know, I say to Canadians, I say to you, like, don't prejudge. Have faith that we will get this right. We are talking to Canadians. I mean, we know that obviously this budget is going to be housing-centric, energy-centric, defense-centric. We are going to invest in Canadians. We're going to grow our economy. We are going to make our economy the strongest, most resilient, independent economy in the G7. We will get this right.
Here's perhaps one reason why Canadians might think you might not get it right.
Sure.
The Union of Taxation Employees says over 3,000 jobs have been cut at the Canada Revenue Agency since last fall, including a decision not to renew the contracts of 1,300 call center employees. Is that not an example of trying to find cost savings and there ultimately being a negative impact on Canadians? And now, all these days later, you're saying, you know, in 100 days things will be better, and you're rehiring people or extending contracts.
We are. I mean, obviously, you just referred to the 800 positions that we just extended through to the next tax season. You know, we want to try to get back to a, you know, pre-COVID level. Obviously, numbers have changed. There have been cuts made. We recognize that, you know, we want to make sure service levels are acceptable. They are completely unacceptable right now. I acknowledge that. I know it. If this was a call center selling hotel rooms, they'd be out of business and heads would roll. I take the same approach to what's happening at CRA. It's not sustainable. It's not acceptable. We've sent a letter to Finance to have this study. We're being proactive, and we will make sure that CRA offers the best service to Canadians. But I will be very clear with you right now. It's not acceptable. I've tasked, Minister Champagne has tasked Commissioner Hamilton to fix it, to make it right, and we are embarking to make sure it will be right.
Do you concede that the government's decision to cut those jobs had an impact on the services that Canadians receive? And therefore, can you understand how Canadians might not be so sure your government will strike the right balance?
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely understand that. That's why we, you know, have halted the 800 positions. That's why we're looking at reassigning. We're looking at, you know, scheduling of calls. We're looking at different steps and measures that will make this right. The service levels, point blank, straight up, are unacceptable. Canadians deserve better. Small businesses deserve better. Let's not forget, I was a small business person before I got into the political world. I've been on the other side of that fence, you know, being on hold for CRA. It's not fair. It's not acceptable. Again, if this was a private business, heads would be rolling. So we've
My point is, though, like, the government is one of those heads. Like, not to speak too metaphorically, but like, your government made decisions. You were a part of that government. I understand that there is a new Prime Minister, but he is talking about possibly cuts, adjustments to the public service that ultimately could have an impact on the services, like through the CRA, that Canadians benefit from it. How can you assure Canadians it won't get worse if you plan to make more of those cuts, or have you ruled that out?
It will not get worse. I mean, we have a baseline. We will make sure that the service levels improve. I mean, really, let's call a spade a spade. We've hit rock bottom. It can't get much worse than it is now. So we've reassigned people. We're going to look at different initiatives to make sure that the agents, you know, can better respond to Canadians. We're going to keep those 800 positions on past the next tax season. I mean, let's be very clear. The frontline workers from PSAC and UTE are excellent. Where would Canada be without them through COVID, through the pandemic, offering supports. We've consulted with them. We've consulted with fellow MPs. We want to consult with more parliamentarians through finance. We've consulted with Canadians.
No more cuts, though, to the call centers?
Again, you know, with respect to cuts, I can't commit to one way or the other. I'm not going to prejudge the review process. This is systematic failure. It's people are waiting too long. Agents are overrun. You know, we've obviously had an increase in population. We've obviously, tax filings are more complicated. We will get this right. Again, I come from a small business background. The Prime Minister put me in this position to obviously, not accept the status quo, to not be afraid to challenge. I'm doing just that. We've had reviews from CRA. We've had feedback, obviously, from Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Just one example for the viewers. Parliamentarians have an opportunity when constituents come in to call and get help from CRA for constituents that have issues. The backlog was weeks. We made a corrective action. We reassigned more people to that file. The backlog is almost cleared up. We will do the same thing right across the board with
regular
CRA.
Canadians outside of parliamentarians will hope for the same kind of outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the regular Canadians that parliamentarians are acting on behalf of, too. Let's be clear. So we will get this right.
We just don't seem to get the same quick treatment.
For sure.
We'll see by December 11th.
Yes, but I'll say this. I would argue one of the reasons we're actually talking about this today is that we've been transparent, we've been open, we sent the letter to finance, we aren't hiding from it, we're not making excuses. This is not right, and we're going to fix it.
Okay, I'm going to leave it on that note. I hope at the end of the 100 days we can talk to you again, Minister. I appreciate your time as always.
Anytime, Vashi.